Hi, I'm Dr. Denny Thompson. I'm a chiropractic acupuncturist for about 34 years, and I'm going to introduce you to Vedic medical body astrology. Almost immediately after graduation from chiropractic college, I started getting into Ayurvedic medicine and eventually wrote a book called Ayurvedic Zone Diet. And 30 years later, most people understand the idea of the body types, which is Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. In my book, I describe Vata as a sympathetic, dominant type of body type. They're always running away from the tiger. And Kapha as parasympathetic, which is the part of the nervous system that is actually into getting nurtured. And then Pitta then would be the coactivation of both. Now, the reason I do this is simply that the Vedic medical astrology chart and Ayurveda are talking about the same thing that the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system are talking about. In other words, this is about your body. So then I'll be teaching you can look at any body type that there is that you see, and you can identify whether they're Vata, Pitta, or Kapha. Vata is thin, Pitta is more medium, Kapha is heavier, and their physiology is different. I was always fascinated that Vatas had more anxiety and anxiousness, Pitta's more resentment, anger, and Kapha's possible more depression, etc. So that's an important consideration if you want to help somebody. You know what their body type, you know what they're up against. It's fascinating. But it wasn't until after reading a book by Dr. Tony Nader, who was the director of the Maharshi Ayurveda group. He wrote a book called Human Physiology, Expression of the Veda and the Vedic Literature. Discover the fabrics of immortality in the human physiology. So he's talking my language there. I was fascinated, and I wanted to know what Vedic astrology was about because of this next picture. In his book, which is a great book, you should buy it. It was $125, 15, 20 years ago. But look at that picture on the right. It shows the sun and the planets revolving around in our galaxy. And then it shows a connection to the brain. The sun is the thalamus, hypothalamus is the moon, globus pallidus is Jupiter, substantia nigra is Venus. All those big words are inner brain structures. And they relate to and reflex into and connect into the cortical areas of the brain, which is the outer area. And so astrology is about the phrase, as above, so below. I have never been able to relate to astrology that the planets are doing anything to me, but I can relate to the resonance idea that our universe is as above, so below, connected. And so that the sun is the center of our galaxy, and the thalamus is the center of our brain. And that each one of the functions that we know from astrology is really about how the time cycles in our lives will affect our mind and our body. There's a great line from the Vedas that says, if you want to know what your thoughts were like yesterday, look at your body today. And if you want to know what your body will be like tomorrow, look at your thoughts today. So in my view, and my description is that the planets are actually shining and are radiating through your brain, in through your body, because the brain innervates and tells your body what to do. Let's think about that. So let's say you have some pain in a certain area. What's going on is that area of your universe is having trouble. Now the question is, why is it having trouble? Well, we can actually find a lot of that information out by understanding Vedic astrology. So if you look at the upper left picture there of this illumination body, this body that is shining, and then you look at the one on the lower right, and you'll see there's 3 areas of darkness, and that's just me editing it and saying that, let's say the upper area there where the shoulder, the left shoulder of the person there is dark, and that's where the light doesn't come through. Now, I look at this and I say, well, that is the 3rd house. What is the information that is trying to get through? What is the body not able to understand? What is the soul not able to understand and self-express? 3rd house is about self-expression. So I take this information and then I test and I find out what's going on. And then I try to find out what else is related to it. For instance, the next one down is it's either over the stomach or the 3rd chakra. So perhaps there is the idea that there is some power struggles, or the person can't stomach something, and we have 2 pieces of information here that there's no self-expression and the person can't stomach it. And then if we go down to the lower black dot there, you'll see that's in the knee area. Knee is about your career. Now think about this. So we just take those 3 pieces of information. This is what I'm doing. And I take the information and find out where in the body I'm able to actually affect it, so that when you come in with shoulder pain, we find out you're having trouble with your career and you can't stomach something, then when you look at that, when you become enlightened to that thought, you then have the power to turn this around. So I just want to be clear is that people don't come in and say, hey, I'm having anger problems, or I want to be more spiritual. They come in and say, well, my shoulder hurts, or I'm fatigued, or I'm having this trouble or that trouble. But from a holistic point of view, from a more spiritual point of view, if it is true that if you want to know what your thoughts were like yesterday, etc., if these thoughts are actually creating part of the upset, then it will always come back. The pain will always come back. If I treat it, if I stick a needle here or there, or if I adjust you, I do some muscle work, etc. So what I've done is melded these 2 pieces of information, the Vedic medical astrology, which is about your mind and body, acupuncture, which is about the mind and body, neuromuscular therapy, which is about the body, and relationship medicine. And so we're looking at the data and simply saying, this is what we need to do. We need to enliven the thought that you need to forgive someone, or perhaps not be critical, etc. In other words, have some emotional intelligence. That's one of the big things that is important here. And once you do that, then you can add therapy or physical information into the body, and be, in other words, percussion or neuromuscular therapy, or if you're able to do acupuncture, you can do acupuncture, and etc. But if not, that there are other ways of doing it as well, if you're not a practitioner. But you're adding information in at the same time that the person is actually thinking and experiencing the spiritual struggle that they are having with their life. And that's what Vedic medical body astrology is all about. Okay. See you next time.